It's super intimate, Erik. That's the whole kicker, right?
Yeah.
When you're listening to a podcast, you're listening to it in your quiet time. And I say this a lot, but when is the last time you were invited into your ideal prospect's quiet time without being creepy,
Right.
right? And that's it for
So true.
podcasts, right? People listen to it while they're exercising, while they're driving, while they're cooking or whatever, and it's opt-in marketing. That's why it's so powerful.
Yeah.
And it also gives you an opportunity to build relationships and maintain relationships with people when it's convenient for them. And this is why, so I get pushback all the time about video, right? So everybody wants to do video, Matt, I have to do video. Well, first off, are you trained to be behind the camera, right? Do you know what your face looks like? Do you know how to gesture appropriately? Do you know lighting, blah, 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 blah. But it's not portable. I shouldn't watch videos when I'm driving, right? If I'm cooking, I'm probably not watching a video because I'm in the middle of cooking.
Yeah.
And so podcasts are just wicked portable. And the other important thing is the people who consume podcasts consume them for three things: entertainment, education, and storytelling.
Hey guys, this episode is sponsored by Tranquil Turtle Massage. Tracy over there, the founder, she's a small town girl from Montana, loves God, loves her family, loves her friends, loves working out, fishing, and camping. She has a passion for helping those in need and enjoys being creative with woodworking, crocheting, healthy baking, pottery, and cooking. Look, she began her massage journey back in 2010, where she graduated from massage school up in Anchorage, Alaska. She specializes in her signature massages, the Hanu Infusion and the Hanu Ashiatsu, as well as the gua sha and manual lymphatic drainage. If you're looking for a massage specialist and someone who could get you feeling good, go see Tracy down at Tranquil Turtle Massage. And while you're there, check out CDA Microblading, offering Coeur d'Alene's best tattoo brows, plasma fibroblast, tightening, and PMU services right there in the heart of downtown Coeur d'Alene. Make sure you book your appointment at pnwmobilemassage.com. Matt, you're a husband, father, Navy veteran, author, podcasting expert, speaker. You're also a partner there at Proudmouth and much more. Man, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, dude. I appreciate it.
I'd love to go back with my guests. Like, where did you grow up? What was childhood like for you?
I don't think anybody's asked me that question. So I'll make this short, Erik. I lived in 9 states before I was 7. After I had found out that my biological father embezzled from hotels. And so we were in Dover, Delaware, and I remember sitting down at the kitchen table and my mom saying, "We're getting a divorce. We're moving back to Michigan." And then I didn't actually find out what was going on until much later in my life that that's actually what my dad was doing. He's about to go to jail, which he never did, and I'm sure he talked his way out of it because he was really good at that.
Yeah.
And then I grew up in Kalamazoo, Michigan. I went to a school where I was very, very, very diverse. It's where I got behind the microphone for the first time at 13 years old. I was Man Matt Halloran on a high school radio station.
Come on.
So growing up for me, I have an older brother who ended up being parentified at a very early age, which was not good for him, but selfishly wonderful for me because I always had that person. My mom remarried when I was 13 to a guy who just recently passed, who ended up being a magnificent father figure for me and really opened my eyes to culture, poetry, art, music. And I'm eternally grateful for all of that.
I love that, man. What a crazy start though to everything, man. Absolutely nutty. Now, I've had a lot of veterans on my show and a lot of folks who have served. What was the motivation behind you getting into the Navy? And then what was that transition like for you getting back into civilian life?
Well, so what I have a very different route, maybe. Okay. So when I was a junior in high school, I was in physics, and a Navy recruiter came in and started talking about, and I don't know if they're allowed to do that anymore, but they were when I was in school. Yeah. And they said, "Hey, we've got this amazing program. It's all about nuclear power." And I was doing very, very well in physics. And my teacher was like, "Look, you don't know what you want to be when you grow up. Why don't you go take that ASVAB thing and see how you do?" I freaking killed the test. It was the first time I ever was successful with an academic test, Erik. I mean, I did terrible on my SAT, ACT.
Yeah.
And so I had signed up to become a sub-nuclear electrician. Okay. So that's what I signed up for. But when I got into the delayed entry program, they found out I was colorblind, which is a really bad thing to be as a colorblind electrician. Yeah. I had to go in unrated. And so I
Okay.
literally went through boot camp, was a deckhand, chipped paint for the first 6 months until I did my KP duty. And then I was in the first Gulf War on a big ammunition replenishment ship. And my naval career was amazing, dude. I
Mm.
volunteered for everything. I was, you might not be old enough to remember this, but there was a show called MASH, and there was a
Yeah.
guy called Radar O'Reilly. That's what my job was. So I
Mm.
literally followed the captain around all day. I was his whipping boy, literally. I bought him a carton of cigarettes every 2 days from the ship store. That's how much we smoked back then. Man, that was, and then I achieved just like, I finally felt really successful. So anyway, the transition back to me was very simple.
Mm.
And the reason why is because I wasn't in the shit, right? Okay. I mean, we were in a war on an ammunition ship. We did get shot at, but Navy's very different than being on the ground, right?
Mm.
But I also looked at the Navy as a job as much as it serving my country. And so I was kind of an outlier anyway. I transitioned back to community college, which then Bill Clinton, that's how long ago that
Yeah.
was offering people to get out of the service early if they could prove they were going to college. So I got out at 3.5 years to go to community college, and then kind of I restarted my life there.
Interesting. Wow, man. That's crazy, dude. Uh, I mean, I have a lot of friends that were also in Gulf War and things like that. And man, the fact that you came back and were able to, I didn't even remember that law that Clinton put into place. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Uh, so, like I mentioned, you're a partner there at Proudmouth, where you work with Kirk Lowe, the founder, whom you guys met at a conference back in 2015, which is really cool to hear, because I love that conferences bring people together like that. But for those who don't know, what is Proudmouth and how did all of it come together?
Well, so Proudmouth is the brainchild between Kirk and I, where we realized that really busy experts are tired of having people tell them what to do. They need some people that they trust to do it for them. And for us, that's creating custom content. So we are a podcasting and social media, like organic content creation company. We work specifically in highly regulated environments. So, doctors, financial advisors, accountants, and lawyers, because they all have oversight on what they can say. Like if you sell widgets, you can say whatever you want to say about widgets, but you can't do that in these industries. So we have lots of layers of checks and balances and compliance. But meeting Kirk was life-changing, brother. And here's why. I had already I looked up to him,
Mm.
right? Because he was known and still is as one of the experts in marketing and branding. And his focus was really branding. Like he could help you come up with just this unbelievable brand. And all of my clients, Erik, as a financial services coach at the time, that was their biggest issue. Messaging, right? Being able to really separate themselves in the marketplace. And I wanted to partner with him. And then we had this idea to do podcasting. And then that just took on a life of its own. And then I folded my company, he folded his company. We became partners, and then opened what is now Proudmouth. It was originally called Top Advisor Marketing because my coaching company was called Top Advisor Coaching. And I had a little bit more name recognition in the marketplace.
Gotcha. Okay. And you guys have this influence accelerator system and academy, which, if I was reading right, it grew to like over $2 million in 4 years, which is crazy. When folks go through this academy and you work with clients, what is it that you take people through?
Well, so here's the kicker. Everything that we do to grow our business is what we ended up. So we started out with 0 clients, 0 revenue 4.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And we're on a run rate to do a little over 2 million this year.
Come
And
on.
so, and we built everything off the podcast. Everything is built off the podcast. And so we decided, well, what the heck? The biggest issue in the world of podcasting, and Erik, you and I were talking before, I just went to the biggest podcast convention in Nashville, Tennessee a little while ago. And here's the thing. Nobody talked about making you good behind the microphone.
Mm.
Everybody's like, oh, here's how you monetize your podcast and here's how you get great guests. But nobody wanted to talk about technique, the show, the business behind it. So that's what we've built. And so the Podstar Academy is what it's called now. And we help you be a Podstar. Run your podcast like a business, use it for your business, and use it to actually really monetize it. Because sponsors are one thing, dude. But when you can take your podcast and direct somebody to your day job or what you want to be when you grow up and charge for those services, I mean, We've produced over 3,600 podcasts and 45,000 social media posts in the last 4.5 years,
Wow.
right? In that's not including the 350 podcasts that we have done, because our Top Advisor Marketing podcast, we're about 350. We just recorded that.
Come
And
on.
dude, that's all I do. Well, you and I talked to you about that before, right? I mean, I have two jobs. I talk about podcasting and I'm podcasting. So that's and we love it. We love the system and are super excited to start sharing it with everybody. The Academy, Erik, is very simple. We know not everybody will pay our fees to do everything for them. And so we figured, well, what the hell? Let's show them everything, like everything that we do, the formulas that we use, the systems that we've built, the techniques that we use for everything is built into the Academy. So if you want to learn how to podcast like a professional podcasting company and create kick-ass social media, you join the Podstar Academy. It's like $50 a month or some crap like that, and you get access to everything.
Wow. Man, people need to be joining that for sure, especially these newer podcasters and just people who are wanting to take their podcast to another level for sure.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that you and I have talked about, and one thing that's it's very important for you is that people have to give themselves permission to be them, right? So you have to give yourself permission to be you, right? Why is that such a big, important thing for you?
Oscar Wilde said, you might as well be yourself because everyone else is taken. Right. And I was driving around with my son a couple of days ago, and he's getting into the workforce. He just graduated from high school. He wants an entry-level IT position. And so we're working on his resume and his LinkedIn profile and all of that sort of stuff. And he says, Dad, I kind of feel like I have imposter syndrome. Mm. And I was like, really? Like, wow, at 18,
yeah,
I didn't feel like I was an imposter until I was 40, but, at 18, and I said, here's the deal. What people are going to hire is you. People want to connect with you. When people put on all of these facades, and especially in financial services, dude, it's all about the watch, the car, the house, the square footage, the trips you took. I mean, it's so egocentric, and people don't want to buy from egocentric people. That's why they have to sell. If you're unapologetically yourself, you attract the right people to you, so they will buy from you. And then you don't have to do all that crappy sales stuff that makes most of us feel dirty, right? I mean, I do all of the sales for my company and I don't sell at all, right? You come in, I talk to you about who you are and what you do. I want to know who you are. And if you have that, right? It's hard to quantify that, Erik. But if I feel, today, perfect example, his what was his name? It doesn't really matter, but I just want to remember. Steven. So I had a call with Steven today. And this dude was himself. He was confident in himself. He had strong opinions about things. Doesn't matter if I agree with him or not, but he had strong opinions about things. He was confident in who he was. And that's what people are going to connect with, because as you know, people like leaders.
Yep. Yeah.
And they will follow you to the ends of the earth if they believe in you. And we believe that using podcasting as a medium to build that relationship, to have your personality shine through, is the only way to do it. Because if you try to show up and be somebody else, that other somebody else has already taken that spot. You got to make your own.
Yeah. Oh man. I'm so big on that. Of just being real with people when you go to interviews and for jobs or anything like that. And I've probably lost a lot of jobs just because I was just me. Like they know that when I'm coming in there, I've got a big beard, right? Like they want a particular look, or, they want someone to be like hardcore pushy sales guy. And that just was never me. And, I've been blessed to work with the companies that I do because I just went in there just being myself and let them know, hey, you know what, this is what I look like, but who cares? I'm going to come in here. I'm going to do 110% of, for you every day. And I love that. You and I were both passionate about podcasting, and it's helped me grow my business exponentially, but how has podcasting helped you in your business? And why do you think it is such a game changer for experts?
It's super intimate, Erik. That's the whole kicker, right?
Yeah.
When you're listening to a podcast, you're listening to it in your quiet time. And I say this a lot, but when is the last time you were invited into your ideal prospect's quiet time without being creepy, right? And that's it for podcasts, right? People listen to it while they're exercising, while they're driving, while they're cooking or whatever, and it's opt-in marketing. That's why it's so powerful. And it also gives you an opportunity to build relationships and maintain relationships with people when it's convenient for them. And this is why, so I get pushback all the time about video, right? So everybody wants to do video, Matt, I have to do video. Well, first off, are you trained to be behind the camera, right? Do you know what your face looks like? Do you know how to gesture appropriately? Do you know lighting, blah, 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 blah. But it's not portable. I shouldn't watch videos when I'm driving, right? If I'm cooking, I'm probably not watching a video because I'm in the middle of cooking. Yeah. And so podcasts are just wicked portable. And the other important thing is the people who consume podcasts consume them for three things: entertainment, education, and storytelling. And we call it the perfect podcast formula. So education, entertainment, storytelling, and then for us, it's called action. So everybody who's listening to your show, you got to tell them to do something. Because if they invested 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes with you, it's okay to ask them to do something. Now, don't do the hard salesy schmucky thing. What can I do to get you in this car today sort of crap? Right. It's take this next step, right? So if you look at the marketing funnel, podcasting and the content that we create is really top of the funnel and middle of the funnel. So we actually cover two components of funnel type marketing, but then you have to still respond, comment, and still reach out to close the business. But what I found, dude, is if you've listened to 10, 15 of my episodes, I'm not closing you anyway. We're just seeing if it's a right fit, if we're within your budget and philosophically we're aligned. And if that's the case, we'll welcome you to our family. But if not, we don't.
Love it. And one of the things I noticed on your website when I was reading through Proudmouth is you guys talk about these 3 myths that stop professionals from podcasting. What are those 3 myths?
Well, I have to remember all of them because I think we are up to 7 now.
Oh, nice.
And so the first one is I don't have anything to talk about. And that's the worst thing possible. You're an expert. You talk all day. Yep. I mean, either you're doing something that allows you to flex that expertise muscle every day. And basically what people just need is somebody to pull it out of them. And so our formula and how we kind of overcome that myth or that challenge is we have an interview conversation style. So all of our podcasts are co-hosted, much like what you do, right? So you interview a guest. So I have professional voice talents who interview our clients, and then we teach our clients to start interviewing the people that they want to interview, right? So there's number one. The second big myth is it's expensive to start.
Yes.
Man, dude, now you have a great microphone. You've got the Shure SM7B or you've got the new one. Which one do you have?
It's the MV7. And
MV7, so it's the new one. Yeah. And I've got a Shure SM58. Now I've got a Rodecaster Pro. I've got all sorts of lighting, but remember, I am a professional podcaster, what I do for a living. But all in, I'm probably at $500, right? Yeah. Now that's all in professional gear. Yeah. Right. Like I can do stuff like this. Right. Did you hear that? Right. So I've got all sorts of fun stuff in. I hardly ever use those, but you can start with your phone in a pair of old Apple earbuds. Yeah. Right. Log on to riverside.fm or Zencaster or Blueberry or any of those companies, and you can be podcasting quickly. Now, the last thing is will I run out of energy? Right. So there's something called Podfade, and this is a real thing. Yeah. People have great intentions. They're 5 podcasts in, 7 podcasts in, and they're not getting the listeners that they want. They're not getting the results that they want. It's because it's a long play marketing. It's not short-term marketing. It's not lead generation. It's long-term marketing. And it's called Podfade, and they quit. And so what we do is we help you create 8 to 12 podcast outlines before you ever hit record. And the reason why is because I want you to have the confidence that you know what you're going to be talking about 12 months in, 6 months in, right? Instead of just like, oh my God, what am I going to talk about in the next podcast? So for the niche that we work in, which is experts, and we've lived in financial services for a long time, I've got over 150 podcast outlines that my clients can tap into. But I mean, the other big myth, and I'm just going to add the fourth one here, if you don't mind, which is, I need to have thousands and thousands of people listen to my show. If you have 3,900 downloads to your podcast, you're in the top 1% in the whole world.
Come on.
Dude, most people, I mean, if you're getting 100, 200, 300, you're still within the top 25% of all podcasts that are out there. right? So I think people have really unrealistic expectations. And so we really quell that at the beginning, right? Look, here's the deal. If you get 20 on your first show, great. Right now we have a launch technique that increases that. I don't need to get into all of that, but you're going to build over time, and that's the goal. And that's what
Mm.
you've done, right? I mean, you remember
Yeah.
how many people listen to your first show?
Yeah. Oh, and I can't even go back to watch it because, for me, when I started, I didn't even know about the audio version. I was just
Mhm,
uploading videos to YouTube and
mhm.
Facebook in my walk-in closet with really bad lighting, bad microphone, all this stuff. And I just wanted to talk with people. And that was why I started, and here we are 4 years later. And obviously I've upgraded the mic and the camera
Yeah.
and I got lights and stuff like that. But over time, like that has come. And I never paid attention to the numbers, to the downloads,
Yeah.
but like if I look back and go, yeah, man, I killed that show. Like, there's no way. Like, I'm almost embarrassed to look at episode 1 and 2, and listen to those shows. And for me, like, I never really paid attention to the numbers because I was just passionate about talking with people.
Yeah.
And I didn't really care about the number of downloads and didn't really care about even monetizing my show until like the last year. It started to just happen.
Mhm.
And it's been such a huge blessing. And I just hit 10,000 downloads on my show just in June of this year, but it took 3 years to hit to that number. I was just,
Yeah.
but like I said, I never paid attention to it. I just did it because I loved it. And I think if people are wanting to get in the podcast, they just have to do it because they love it. And, don't expect to jump out and be like Joe Rogan right away. Right.
Right. Right. And that's not going to happen. Right. And you're not going to get somebody who's going to offer you thousands of dollars a month,
Yeah.
right out of the gate for your show.
Yeah.
That's why we believe that there's an entirely different way to monetize your show. So, let's say you do have a hobby and you have an Etsy store. Podcast is perfect. Right now, don't hire me for that because we would be cost prohibitive for you. But if you follow what you've done, Erik,
Mhm.
specifically, if you had an interest in joining the Podstar Academy, or hell, Google some stuff, go on YouTube. There are millions of videos on how to be a good podcaster, how to get your stuff started.
Yep.
Just you got to start. Just
Yes.
start, and then don't quit.
Yes.
Uh, Keep it up. It's all about consistency. We say this to business owners all the time. If you have 30 podcasts in the can before your competition starts, you're 30 times more credible than they are. And that's just
Yes.
the case. All you have to do as an expert, Erik, is if you say, hey, I've got a podcast, and you're a professional, an attorney, whatever, carpenter, doesn't matter. If you're a carpenter and you say, hey, by the way, you bid out a job and maybe you're a little bit more than somebody else, but you say to that person, hey, you know what? I've got a podcast about home improvement, deck building, whatever I do. Dude, you're way more professional in the perception of the prospect than you are if you don't.
Yes. Oh, man. What is your favorite and least favorite things about podcasting?
Well, my favorite thing is you, right? I get to interview, and I just so everybody knows, I interviewed Erik for our show.
Oh,
I absolutely love meeting people. I
yes.
love asking them questions. I love hearing their stories. You and I are freaking brothers from another mother from that,
Yeah.
dude. I mean,
Totally.
we both live for that. And
Yep.
so that's my absolute favorite thing. My least favorite thing is post-production, right? And I'm really good at it. I've been editing since I was 13 years old, editing audio when we had razor blades and actual Scotch tape.
Right.
But now that with the digital audio workstations, it's very easy, but it's very tedious. And I'm not a perfectionist with many things in the world. In fact, I'm not at all in most things. But man, audio editing, it takes me longer than I want to. Luckily, I have a whole team that does that for our clients now and me. But dude, I just can't stand that component.
I'm with you on that. The post production is by far the most pain in the butt, tedious thing that I do on a daily basis, trying to stay up with all my shows, man. But the networking piece of it is by far the best part of it.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated with people's stories. I love to connect with new people, and man, truly blessed to have been a guest on your show, and just truly blessed to call you my friend, man, because I
Yeah,
think you're
dude.
just a stud out there, man, and you're changing lives. One quick question: how do you define success?
Oh, so for us, it's retaining and maintaining relationship with existing people. So our focus with the Top Advisor Marketing Podcast and the Be Your Own Loud podcast isn't to just have people inquire about our services. It's to continue to build relationships with people that we know in our network, in our social circles. So I think that just getting stuff in the can and getting it produced and syndicated out everywhere, good show notes, that's real success. Do we want to make money from it? Yes. Do I get 90% of our clients from the podcast and from LinkedIn? Yes. But do I really consider that success? I want to be, I kind of want to rise above that, Erik, and that's necessary. We have 25 team members. I've got a business partner. I've got bills to pay. I don't want to diminish that component of it, because podcasting has been the best gift I've ever given myself to grow a business. It really is. But I like that I've done 350 episodes, right? I've been on over 1,000 podcasts. Do you know what I mean? You
Come
think
on.
about the reach that this schmuck from Kalamazoo, Michigan has hopefully had as an impact on the world. I'm just honored to have the opportunity to even do that. And so I try to come from a place of being humble and grateful on that. I really do. Everything else is just gravy. So I might not be the best person to ask that question to. I mean, when we went over 100 episodes, man, we partied hard, man. I mean, it was a huge celebration. 200, 250, right? Our goal now is to get to 1,000 episodes, and man, and it lives forever, right? I mean, good, bad, and different, man. Our first podcast sucked, but they're still there because they're good reminders of how far we've gotten in the process.
Yeah. Oh, man. I'm a big music guy. So I've asked the question, like, what's a favorite band for you? Or do you have a favorite type of music you like to listen to?
So I'm wearing a Wu-Tang shirt right now.
Come on.
So I'm a big, so I grew up with 90s gangster rap. And so that's my go-to. I love that. So anything from, Biggie to Mos Def to Talib Kweli, Wu-Tang, Public Enemy. I'm a huge Public Enemy guy. But I also like Billy Strings, who's a bluegrass guy. Led Zeppelin is probably my favorite band of all times. So I have a really eclectic, but then I'm a huge jazz music fan. That was, talked about that early on with my stepdad teaching me about jazz. I have a huge jazz collection. So music is huge in my family.
Yeah.
In fact, I've got a pregame. So before every podcast, because everybody needs to remember, Erik, that this is a show and you should warm up for the show like you would if you were going to be on stage singing and dancing, doing jazz hands and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I've got my guitar sitting over here, and I sing a couple of songs before every show to warm up my instrument, make sure my energy's up. Because, I mean, you gave me the gift of being on your show. If I came on your show and I phoned it in, I mean, that's disrespectful to you. It's disrespectful to your audience. So, we take this very seriously. I take this very seriously, and music's a huge component on how I do that.
I love that. I was just jamming to Tupac and Biggie this last week, and like Bone Thugs, man, and just like been into that a lot lately. And I was a big metalhead, but when I worked for Universal Records, it kind of opened up my eyes to other. And then in 1999, I saw Rage Against the Machine. It was supposed to be Wu-Tang open up for them. And then ODB got arrested like the week before, and they dropped out of the show. And I was so bummed. But then they got replaced by the Roots, and the Roots opened up for Rage. And I'd never heard them before, but man, they were amazing to see live. And then, of course, Rage was by far one of my best concerts.
So Black Thought was on a radio show called Sway in the Morning, Sway 45. And so what Sway does is he brings people on, and they have to just go live, right? No pre-recorded. This is, extemporaneous stuff. Black Thought's, who's the lead rapper or the lead head of the Roots, right?
Yeah.
His freestyle on Sway 45 is the best piece of poetry and rap I've ever heard in my life. I'm a huge Rage fan, by the way.
Nice.
I think it's so funny, some of the people who are using Rage Against the Machine right now, because they don't realize that they're the damn machine.
Right.
But whatever, man. So that's all right. It's good for them. So
that's awesome. Where's the best place for folks to connect and follow with you and Proudmouth at, man?
Yeah. So we're pretty business oriented, right? So LinkedIn is where you want to be. I'm on LinkedIn all the time. If you message me, and this is how you and I got connected, message me on LinkedIn. If you type in my name, I've been on LinkedIn since, I don't know, 2004.
Okay.
And so, I mean, I've been there forever. You can look at all the crazy stuff that I've done, but LinkedIn is great. And then our website's proudmouth.com. If you want to check out, examples of what we do and who we work with. And if there's anything that I can do to help you podcast, you can you can message me on LinkedIn and I will provide you with whatever guidance. Because here's the deal. Our goal is to help people rise above the noise and be their own loud. You don't have to hire me to do that. You're going to help me achieve my life's mission of getting people like Erik's voice out in the marketplace, your voice out in the marketplace as a listener. Let's see what we can do to take Wall Street crap corporate communication and beat them and bring it back to Main Street, bring it back home, because we're the ones who really know what's going on, and we're the ones whose voices matter the most.
Yes. Oh, Matt, it's such an honor to have you on my show, man. Thank you for sharing your tips, knowledge, your story, man. Such an honor. Thank you so much for taking the time, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
What's going on? Thank you so much for watching the show. I really appreciate it. Hey, I just wanted to do a quick introduction. If you've not seen my show or you don't know the services that I offer, I wanted to drop them to you right now. One, I do voiceover work. So if you're looking for a voiceover person to cover your motivational videos, or maybe it's Kickstarter videos or whatever it is, let me know. I'm more than happy to help you out there. I also work with brands on brand and product videos. So they'll send me their products to do reviews or box openings. Let me know. I'd love to work with you on your product as well and help you get that product out there. I also love to be able to share my story. So if I can make an impact on one person at your next speaking engagement, let me know. I love to talk about my story. I love to talk about how our past does not define our future, and morning routines and being consistent, how to be around those successful people that are just gonna lift you up. Let's chat about having me speak at your next event, and let's make it happen. Again, thank you so much for checking out this show. Check out ericallenmedia.com. Really appreciate your time. Have an awesome day.